They say that when the going gets tough, the tough get going, and if you're a Mercedes fan, it's been a tough start to the season, with the hope that glimmered at the end of last season being dashed by the dismal performance in Bahrain. The reaction has been swift and decisive, and the Silver Arrows have not rested on their laurels, with the team responding speedily to the fallout of the W14 and the slip behind not only Ferrari and Red Bull, but Aston Martin as well, and it looks like it's only good news for Mercedes fans after the recent announcements, but not good news for all within Mercedes. The current picture being painted by Mercedes is that they are united but disappointed, with an air of defiance about them as well, to ensure the current season does not reflect the 2022 season. The W13 was put on display at Mercedes base to remind the team of what it's like to go through a difficult period. And by the way the season has started, they may be ready to put 2 cars in their base. We sure do hope that it's a big space. Like any industry, at the end of the day, F1 is as much a sport as it is a business. With the team struggling to compete and the money they invest into the car, it was only inevitable that the rumors would begin to circle around Mercedes personnel. The main man under fire is Mike Elliott, the man who stepped in to replace James Allison. The rumor mill has been doing overtime, but it does appear that they are far off the mark, with Mike Elliott being handed an ultimatum according to reports, rather than being demoted or fired as reported by some. And while on the subject of business, there's an interesting theory going around that, according to a radical report, Mercedes could give Hamilton's more powerful engine to Fernando Alonso, as from a business perspective, this would suit them, as at least one of their engines would be in with a chance of winning the championship. The Express reports Mercedes chiefs is said to be willing to pay more attention to giving Alonso the fastest engine if their own car fails to perform in the next 2 races, which takes place in Saudi Arabia and Australia. Yep, we know we don't think it will happen either, but it does make it interesting, as if Aston Martin were to win, someone at Mercedes would win. It's not one of the drivers, but Toto Wolff and Mercedes themselves, as the team principal owns a small stake and Mercedes owns a 20% stake in the Silverstone team, with an extra $300 million being added to Aston Martin's market value after Bahrain. We will leave you to think this one out, as we are not sure what to think of it. One of the key differences between Mercedes and Aston Martin is that one has hired some stellar talent from across the paddock, cherry-picking the best of the best to lead their team. Unfortunately, Mercedes have been a victim of this brain drain, but this is no different from what happens in other aspects of sport and business. An organization such as Mercedes should be well prepared for this, as it won't be the first or the last time. Nico Rosberg actually states that this is one of Toto's greatest strengths. Well, one of Toto's greatest strengths is the succession planning part of it, and it started very, very early. It started even in 2014, 15, 16. Rosberg explained to Sky Sports F1. So I don't think that's the issue there at the moment. A lot of fresh talent has taken over from the older guard within the team. Very, very talented people who I know from back then. Hopefully Rosberg is correct and there are some very talented people ready and waiting in the wings to get Mercedes back on track to establish the best way forward. Because right now, everyone and their dog has an opinion on what they should do. Some have said there is a Plan B car which has been rubbished. Others have said that changing the car now would be taking a step backward. Karen Chandhok believes that Mercedes need to take Aston Martin as an example and put their egos aside. They didn't have a good car, they threw aside their egos and threw away the time and effort they had invested. They came up with a copy of the Red Bull car in Barcelona, Chandhok says in the Sky Sports vodcast. Now, of course, this would be accepting defeat and possibly copying your opponents, which for Mercedes is a big no-no, but the team has said that there will be radical and visible changes to the car, and it does look like they know in what direction they will be going, with Chauvelin having this to say about what can be expected, and Toto Wolff adding his thoughts in. People have tended to use the word concept when they mean the sidepod design, Chauvelin said in Mercedes' video, and Toto has said recently that we are looking at a revision that is going to come along in the next few races anyway. Given the gap to the front, of course we are going to look at bigger departures and more radical changes. We are looking at where we can improve the car, we are looking for potential to develop, and you will see visible changes coming on the car over the next few races. This is great news for Mercedes fans, but when will it be ready, with the team needing serious upgrades, and what are they? Let's dig deeper. The budget cap also needs to be considered, with Damon Hill of Sky Sports particularly concerned by this. He said, with the cost cap involved in from one now, they can't just go back to the factory and spend a lot of money and redesign a car, because that will also imply they have to abandon what they think they know and go and follow others who have gone in a different direction, and they don't have any information on all of that. They don't have the wind tunnel knowledge. The budget cap is not the only thing that Mercedes need to be worried about, as their current car is just not competitive. It's radically different from the other cars on the grid, and this appears to be the problem Wolff has now realized. Asked as to whether it was now pretty clear which development route Mercedes should take, Wolff replied, "It is pretty clear where we should be going. We just need to make the data work. The most important is really establishing a solid baseline, saying this is where we are and there are no surprises in the direction." Toto went on further to highlight that they also know what direction they want to go in and that the budget cap won't be a problem with the team, but it does highlight that the changes will not be good for one of the Mercedes drivers, as only one car will be developed. Not sure whose car it will be, but comment below. Let us know which driver you think they will favor. "I don't think we're constrained by the budget cap," said Wolff. "We just need to decide where we want the development direction to go and then put all our efforts into it. We're not going to develop two cars side by side, but we can develop one car, and we want to decide in the next few days and weeks which car that will be." All F1 fans know that upgrades do not happen overnight, with the team having to go through multiple stages before they get the car ready, and in particular, the wind tunnel. But it does look like Mercedes is ready to get the car going, with Toto Wolff saying the concept was already in the wind tunnel. This is impressive and music to the Silver Arrows fans, but whether it's the right concept, only time will tell, and which driver will it suit. It's been done in the wind tunnel, but it's not just about the side pods or how the car looks from the outside, he told ORF. "We have to dig into the data and decide which direction to go in. All the noise coming out of the Mercedes team is defiant, and they will be working on when this concept will be ready to go, but how quickly Mercedes can introduce a new concept is unclear, given that McLaren will do so in Baku on April 30th. The working team decided this in January, 4 months prior to next month's Azerbaijan Grand Prix. This, of course, is Mercedes, and they will want to make sure they get it right first before they whip it out. But I'm sure they will not hesitate around when this needs to be done and how quickly it needs to be done, as they will not want to be fourth, as it's almost unheard of from the Silver Arrows. Whether these changes will be what Mercedes need is another conversation after Lewis's scathing attack on the engineers of Mercedes, saying they didn't listen to him and that, quite frankly, he told them there was a problem. Now, disharmony at Mercedes is not unusual, but it's normally between the drivers and not between the team and its drivers. According to the team, everyone is focused on sorting out the current issues at the team. Mercedes' latest tweet also leads us down the path that Mercedes are all together on this. So right now it looks good for Mercedes, and maybe they're just sandbagging a bit. Jokes. Roll on the next GP, we can't wait.